what do you wish people understood about the wisdom of the earth a little bit more?
I guess that it's a living entity, that it's a living entity. We're not living on a flying rock through space. It is a living entity. It is of service to us, and we work, synchronistically and symbiotically. But what that really looks like is it's a huge tool for dissolving a lot of the stories that we have in our mind. If you think about the old classic movie, The Matrix,
Mm.
and unplugging from, the Matrix, right? In a way, it's like, how do we unplug from all of these thought patterns and emotional patterns and triggers that we have and stories that we go through? And how do we just become present in the moment?
Mm-hmm.
It's again, super simple, but not easy. Because so much of the day we spend like thinking, and we think that we can figure out everything by thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really the unhooking from all the thinking into just a natural present awareness state. And flower essences, or, I just say flower essences or the earth is in service to that. It directly helps. Like people will say, whoa, this is so weird. I've been working with flower essences and suddenly I have all this space between me and my trigger. Like it doesn't just like consume me. It's like I see it and it's right there. And I'm like, that's interesting, but I don't really want to follow that same pattern. And then it's like my flower essence teacher used to say, we have up to 6 to 8 generations back in our family lineage of thought patterns. So it's like all this gunky gunk in our cellular memory that what we're trying to do is turn down the volume on that and turn up the volume on our true nature. And that's what flower essences and Mother Nature do.
That was such a beautiful description. And it reminded me when I really first started to feel the impact of a flower essence, I acutely felt almost like an unentanglement in like my energy. And it was like a cracking open. And so when you mentioned space, that was so present for me. And with that space came everything that was unearthing, right? It's like, it's not just like peace and tranquility. It was like this unearthing and this opening. And I was like, oh shit, which is like it's exactly what the spiritual journey is all about. It's like, you want peace and tranquility, you have to move through all of these patterns and the ancestral trauma and this energy that's stored within ourselves and within our body. And it really, I just remember in my Williamsburg apartment when things started to really, really shift for me, a disentanglement, which sounds really esoteric, but this has been a really profound tool for me to support in that journey when I'm really feeling like in the thick of it. It's like an opening for me, that space.
Yeah. And that to me sounds like that's like when you really use them regularly and you start to bring them into your life, like your whole everything unfolds, right? But even just like, an immediate something that you can put your finger on is like we have flower essences that make you laugh. We have a blend called Joy Juice. And you can put that in like if you're having a party or a dinner or something, you just put it in everybody's food and drinks and just watch. Like in a couple minutes, everyone will be laughing and kind of blissed out, like in that, like, oh, I'm just having so much fun and enjoying so much and like laughing so much that your energy, kind of gets hysterical. Or if you're having a hard time communicating, sometimes I remember when I did my podcast, there were days where I just suddenly felt like, oh, why aren't words coming out as smoothly as they usually do? Or I would have a hard time communicating with people in my life. And then you just use, like we have a blend called the one I was showing you, Sacred Awareness or Truth Teller. And immediately, within seconds, you feel different. So I think, one of the things that's so interesting is it's not like multivitamins that you take them for a while and you're like, I think they're helping. It's like multi-layered and it never gets old. So, everything from just like the instant response to the unfolding over time. I've been taking flower essences for 20 some years and I'm still like every single month I'm like still amazed. Like, it never gets old. It never is like, yeah, that's what we do. Like, every single month, I'm like, how is this working this way? You know, it's just cool to just like constantly be in love with something like that.
Absolutely. Have you ever taken a break from them, like using them
Oh,
regularly over
yeah.
the last 20
Oh,
years?
yeah. Then you get all like bitchy and cranky and weird, and it's like, what's different here? Oh, right. I stopped taking flower essences for a couple weeks. I don't really, it's interesting. I haven't stopped in a really long time. That hasn't happened to me in a long time. And in fact, I think use wise, it's just increased more and more and more. And I think that's probably just, you know, like an intuitive thing that your body just kind of goes for it. Like, oh, I
Mm,
need that. You know, something else that I just thought of that your listeners might be interested in is there is this thing they never tell us in science class. This just blows my mind too, that there is a crystal inside of the middle of our head, right? They never tell us that in the form of the glandular system, right? And also in all the fluids and all the blood in our circulatory system, there is like a microcrystalline structure in our blood.
mm,
So in essence, we are like walking crystals. And it's not just like oh, the flower essence did it to me. We're working together. It's like you like, let's say I missed these flower essences into my field, and then the insane innate wisdom of the human body is in its crystal like way, is that it amplifies the energies it comes in contact with. So
mhm,
you use the flower essences and then it amplifies it even stronger so that it affects all the people that are around us, not just us.
mhm,
And then also our body knows where to put it, you know, like all the different meridian systems and acupuncture points. It knows where it needs to go, and it knows which flowers to bring in and which to kick out because I don't need it. It's like fascinating that our bodies and our ethereal bodies and energy systems are so incredibly wise that they're just instantly at the speed of light knowing how to do that.
Oh my gosh, yes. It reminds me of a conversation I recently had with Heather Askenazi of Energy Muse, and she talked about how our bodies are essentially a human crystal. And we're all very aware that, you know, our energy, our soul hears what we're talking about, but you really do. You have the ability to program your body to a certain extent in your energy, and we are so impressionable. Our energy is, I did not know that our blood or our brain held a crystal within it, a micro crystal. But one of my mentors, Maureen Dodd from Ash Wellness Center, she's now in Santa Fe now, but she told me that, you know, crystals are really embedded in our everyday technology. They're even in our iPhones. And there's like a little clear quartz crystal that's powering our iPhone. And we don't really realize that like the earth is powering us all. Obviously, like the sun, we forget. We think that our technology is powering us and all of our, like, you know, all of these devices. But it's like if we were stripped away of everything, we would still be okay because we are like so intertwined and connected with nature. It's actually the earth, crystals, flowers that are powering each and every one of us. We just
Yeah,
have to be reminded of that.
it's like the old quartz watches, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Quartz
mhm.
And I mean, it's funny to think like, oh, right, we don't have to plug ourselves in the wall or anytime. We run
Yeah.
ourselves.
It's like just go take a walk outside and ground in the earth. I feel like I have to remind myself a lot in New York City, but I guess being in the desert, you have to remind yourself a little bit as well. But it really, I think it again just reminds us that it doesn't always have to be so challenging and hard and convoluted. Healing and transformation, the more we can simplify that and simplify this overabundance of rituals and routines and bring it back down to earth and root, we'll then be able to rise that much more.